Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, we saw that ES moved into the 0575 to 0775 resistance zone, where responsive sellers were active, and that zone ended up capping the upside in the overnight session. At this point, heading into the open, we are still going to be watching how the market reacts to this overnight balance that has developed so far, and the market has been just chopping in a very narrow range, and it can still tip either way. We can still technically get a break to the upside for a test of the 11.5 to 13.5 area, or we can just fail right here at 05 quarter to 07 quarter. And if we continue holding below like 0375 to 04, then that would tell us that there's still a chance that market can pull back here. Now, in the event of a failure at pre-market resistance or below pre-market resistance, ES can quite easily pull back to the overnight lows to 98.5 to 99.5, and if we're going down on some decent momentum, then the market does not have to stop at 98.5 to 99.5. In that case, we are probably going to go down and test the 93.5 to 95.5 zone. That's still an area where we can get some level of rotation or a buy response on first test. But again, if we're going down on strong momentum, then even the 93.5 to 95.5 zone does not have to necessarily shut off the selling. At that point, we'll just have to gauge how weak the market really is, what the range potential on the day is, and whether the price action is indicating that the high of day may be in. So if we're getting a complete failure below 05 quarter to 07 quarter, then quite easily ES can pull back to 93.5 to 95.5 and potentially even into yesterday's low, the 89 naked VPOC, and then 86 to 88 is a better zone where buyers can be active. Below that, we have support at 84. So then pretty much, as we go down, every support area can result in a reaction because overall the buy side is dominant. It's just that, the market is a bit stretched up here into resistance. And to continue going higher, we are going to have to see some decent strength in the market. And if we don't have that, or if we just continue to kind of struggle here at pre-market resistance or below it, then, a pullback would not really change the bullish short-term structure that the market's in, right? So even if we did get a pullback down to 86, 88, it wouldn't really be a big deal on the larger time frames. As long as we're holding above 78 to 81, on the larger time frames, the buyers can maintain control as long as we're holding 78 to 81. And above that, the buyers can still step in at pretty much every support zone along the way. And if we continue running on very light volume, then the continuation moves are going to be a bit more risky. Now, that doesn't mean that the market can't go directional, right? Volume is not correlated to direction. It just gives us an idea of the type of environment we're in. When you're running on light volume, you typically have very choppy price action, and just the character of price action is different in a low volume market versus a high volume market. So the market can be directional. It just means that you need to execute your trade on some sort of pullback or some sort of rotation and then get on board the dominant direction, right? So for example, if we're failing at pre-market resistance and going down, then if it's still early in the move, perhaps you can get on board. But if it's already extended 6-7 points, then you probably want to wait for a little bit of a pop before you take or consider any short trade. On the upside, again, if you're breaking out on some decent momentum and you're getting on board early, that's still okay because that's the start of the overnight balance breakout. But if the market's already moved, let's say from 0405 up to 11 to 13, then you want to be careful buying it there at the end of that swing, right? Because it's probably not going to just continue. It's probably going to rotate, get some responsive sellers active at 11.5 to 13.5, and then perhaps, it goes back up again, right? So it's very important to be aware of the environment that you're trading in and just tailor your execution and your intraday tactics to match the pace of the market, right? And like we saw yesterday, the opportunity was fairly low, the reward potential was low, so that also means being selective, right? So you don't want to be overly active in a market like this. So heading into the open, the idea is that the market is very balanced. Larger time frame, we know that the buy side is dominant, but at the same time, sellers can still be active at every resistance zone along the way. Pre-market resistance has already been tested in the overnight session. but it is still a valid zone until it gets taken out. And then above that, we have resistance at 11.5 to 13.5, and then better resistance at 16.5 to 18.5. So in the event of some strong buying, the 16.5 to 18.5 can still cap the upside and shut off the buying, and the market can start balancing from that point on. So off the open, again, it still can tip in either direction, but understand that the larger time frame control right now is with the buyers, but we're trading at a fairly aggressive price. So you just want to be a bit more defensive on longs and shorts right now, right? Because this is this balanced breakout market, but it's heading back into some prior resistance where we've already seen the market struggle, and eventually it's plowing through some of those zones, but it's taking some time, right? It's definitely not doing it on first test, and it is struggling here. So be ready to take a trade in either direction here off the open, and especially if we start getting some momentum off the open, then perhaps we can be a little bit more aggressive on the directional idea. But if the momentum's not really there, then I think we'll just have to be a little more selective and wait for the market to kind of tip its hand and then get on board. So far, it's very mixed, but we are holding so far at resistance. So, just be very flexible off the open and be willing to take the trade in either direction. Now, in order to get a sustained breakout, you do want to see some level of momentum, some level of strength on the advanced decline, and without that, any breakout attempts are going to be riskier and more susceptible to actually failing. So keep that idea in mind too. So those are our main thoughts heading into the open. Let's see if the buyers can maintain some control here, or whether the sellers step in and then we just get some profit taking. Again, a little pullback is not going to be a big deal in this market. So those are our main thoughts. Let's see which side dominates off the open, and we'll keep our focus in that direction, and we'll take it from there.